Welcome to the Mr. Mark Shorts. Today we're going to talk about how do you pick new games or systems for your next campaign. This came from Christopher G from our Slack channel. He actually asked this question earlier today, so we started talking about it. I pinged Phil, Jerry jumped in, a bunch of people had a bunch of opinions. It was kind of fun to see all the opinions. So Phil, what do you think? What are some of the methodologies that you have come up with over the course of time for getting your next game, campaign, whatever, to the table?
I mean, when we get down to it, right, the goal that you're trying to achieve is something that everybody wants to play, and it's something that the GM wants to run. How you get there are a couple different ways that you can get there, but that's ultimately what you have to get to, right? You have to get to a point where, at an enthusiastic level, the GM wants to run this game, the players want to play this game. If you don't achieve that in one way or the other, the game's going to struggle. It's not impossible, right? Because people could turn once the game gets going, but if the GM's not thrilled about it, about the game that's, being played, it's going to be an uphill struggle to get the GM to get it off the ground. And if the players aren't thrilled about the game, they're not going to necessarily engage with it at the same emotional level, right? When we hit that sweet spot of everybody being excited is when we have the best chance of successfully getting a campaign off the ground.
Okay, so we have our basis. Like, we want everybody excited.
Yeah, it's a matter of inertia.
Sure. Throw all this out, though, if you're playing a one-shot, because who cares?
That's fair.
Yeah,
totally
because,
fair.
the one-shot, all we're asking is everybody to show up and play the game, so suck it up. Suck it up, you're only playing for a night.
Take all the
Suck
hooks.
it up, buttercup.
Take all the hooks.
But if you're shooting for a campaign where you need to turn this game out for a long period of time, we are talking about, and we've talked about it in many episodes in the past, about this energy model of, being excited. And when the game hasn't been played yet, you need to be intrinsically excited.
Pitch it hard.
You gotta have something that you want to do in the game.
So really what all this boils down to is, we talked about what the end goal is. The question is where does the list of games come from?
Sure.
Right? So it either comes from the GM or it comes from the players, one way or the other. So there are a bunch of different ways you can do this.
We've done this.
I've done every one of these. I've done everything from coming in with a handful of games.
Sorry about the hammering, everybody. That's just the way it's going to be. There's new siding being put in.
There we go. House Misdirected is getting a facelift.
Yeah.
But I've come in with a handful of games and been like, hey, here's 3 games. Pick which one you like. I've done the opposite, where you bring ideas for a handful of games that you want to play to the game, and we made a giant-ass list, and then just went through the process of elimination of
Start ticking them off. This one's gone, this one's gone.
Yeah, all right, up here on the board is 15 games. Is there any game on this board that someone here will not play?
And you will be surprised sometimes at what is the final result from that process.
Yeah.
Because that's how we ended up with NBA again.
That's how we wound up with NBA. That's how we finished Dungeon World.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because we all put our choices up on the board, and every one of us had put Dungeon World. It wasn't our first choice. It was everybody's second, third, or fourth choice, but it was everybody's choice. And at one point we were like, maybe we should just play Dungeon World.
Yep.
So I've done it that way, right? So I've done everybody brings one. I've brought some. I think, Chris, you actually just build a game and invite players.
I mean, yeah, that's my... I do not have what people would consider a game group, right? I know a bunch of gamers, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to run X. Who do I want to invite to this thing? And then I start inviting people. Although I did have a game group for a while. We used to play on Wednesday nights. That was Bob and Jerry. Eventually, Jerry joined that group. I think Bob was there the entire time. We played
the Wednesday night group?
Yeah, that every other Wednesday.
I don't think I was there right at the beginning.
No,
I think I came in on the second game.
Oh, you were there? That was there the entire time?
It was me, Mark Napick, Cindy, and...
No, that's the Friday night game. The Wednesday group. The online Wednesday
Gator
group that played...
and Drew Smith.
Played Scum and Villainy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was... I think both of us were in that one when it started.
Yeah,
I thought you guys were doing something before I got
We were playing Dungeon World before that. There. And D&D even before that.
Yep.
So Chris's approach works fine when you have a specific game you want to play, and you have a pool of players that you can pull from.
I always have a specific game and campaign that I want to run, which is why I always build my groups that way.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, am basically looking to keep 2 game groups running. Otherwise, they would just disband. If we didn't have a Sunday game after Night's Black Agents...
Yeah, what would happen to that particular table? Yeah.
Which is okay. I like GMing, so it's not a problem for me, but also... I'm open to ideas, right? I had never thought I was going to do another run of Night's Black Agents until it came up in that session where we sat and chose, and then it turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you can dedicate a session to doing this. So you can sit down after your one campaign's ended, before your next campaign starts, and sit down and go through this whole process. You can do this process online. Like you could do this asynchronously in a Google Doc, in a chat room, whatever. You can just like, hey, everybody post like 3 or 4 games you'd be interested in. Okay, here's the full list. Everybody vote. Kind of like there's a whole bunch of ways to do it. I don't think any one is better than another. I think it's going to have a lot to do with your group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another thing is going to be how your group works. The OP today on the question knew what kind of game they wanted to run. They just weren't sure what system to run. And that's that's kind of the next step.
Not only that, but their players vetoed a bunch of the systems that were suggested.
Yeah. And so I think that's where you sometimes have to come together and say, the next step is not just what game do we want to run, what kind of game do we want to run? Come together with the people and talk about, like, what are you looking for in your next game? Do you want action, romance, lots of drama? Do you want lots of crunchy system? Do you want an abstract system? And that's the time when you might want to start tossing ideas on the table. Google Docs, whiteboard. I like the idea of just writing everything down, but whenever somebody makes a suggestion, write it down and put it in front of everybody. Because sometimes what you'll find out is that one person's idea and somebody else's idea work well together, and that may give them an idea of what kind of game they want to run, and might give you an idea what kind of game to run to keep everybody excited. If they're all deciding if they want to play a fantasy game, there's a big difference between playing a high fantasy game like Dungeons and Dragons and playing a lower fantasy game like a Conan kind of thing. And if everybody wants to play pulpy Conan, that might lead you in a different direction.
Then you don't play D&D, at least not 5th edition.
Right. Yep. And you can do things back and forth that way until you come to something that everybody's happy with. Oftentimes, this will give you ideas that are out of the box. People say, well, what about this game system? Or games that people hadn't thought of, because you'll get a lot of table sourcing going on. That's good if you don't have any idea what you want to do. If you're a GM that comes to the table like, I want to run these 3 games, then that gives you a start. Because I've had game players come to me and say, I want to play this game. I'm like, great, I'm not going to run that game. I would have trouble running that game, or I wouldn't enjoy running that game. I'll play in it, but I won't run it. Somebody else might want to take over as GM for a little while. And that helps too sometimes. Give somebody a breath of fresh air.
The other approach you can take is actually not even to discuss games for a while. You can discuss the type of experience you want to have.
Yeah, that's what I was getting from Jerry when he was talking about it. I'm like, that would be the idea.
That's
like,
what I'm talking about.
What are you looking for, right?
Yeah. Like, do you want to play a game with a lot of character interaction? Do you want to play games with heists? Do you want to... Because based on that, you can then, provided you have a repertoire of knowledge of a bunch of games, you can start to hone down what games might be decent choices.
Yeah.
Or if you have a game that has a bunch of modular parts, then you can start building it out from those parts.
Yep.
And that might be the other side. You might have somebody say, I want to play this game. I want to play a PBTA game. Well, that's a huge...
That doesn't mean anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But if that's the kind of game they want to play, that tells you, okay, well, now what kind of genre do you want to play?
You're actually closer if you say fantasy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But no, what I'm saying is if somebody, if that's the kind of game that, like, we just finished playing, Dungeons and Dragons, or we just finished playing Hero System. I want to play something that's less crunchy. Go, and then you need to talk about what genre you want or whatever.
I want to aside now. What is the playstyle of PBTA games? There's got to be a thing for it, right? PBTA games are very much fiction-forward games, right? Because they're always triggered by the fiction.
Yeah.
So I guess that is a playstyle. Like, I want to play a PBTA game means I want to play a game where I get to narrate to trigger my moves.
I would also say that PBTA games, the good ones, are highly genre specific, right? It's not just fiction forward. It's fiction forward and really committing to a genre.
Yes.
Now, what genre you can run across, the whole list of PBTA games to pick a genre. But I think one of the hallmark signs of playing a PBTA game is that we're very much going to play a particular type of genre in this game.
Because they're very focused experiences.
Yes.
Because of that. So
Exactly.
they're fiction-forward focused experiences.
Yeah.
Monster of the Week and Monster Hearts are 2 very different games about monsters.
Night and day, even though they have the same, I don't want to say same rule system, they have the same approach to rules.
Yeah, and
the
I could
mechanics.
not have the same experience in Monster Hearts that I have in Monster of the Week.
Absolutely.
And vice versa, right?
Yes. Yep. And
Very different.
It also tells you somebody wants to play a PBTA game is also looking for something that doesn't have a straight binary pass-fail system. They want to have something where the mechanics of the game, once again, play into the narrative, play into the fiction, play into what's going on.
Yeah.
As opposed to a game.
There are so
that's
many
straight
games that do
pass-fail.
that now, though.
Yeah.
Like, the real thing is I think it's the move system, right? Like, the move system of PBTA games, because it's all about, I have to narrate to trigger X. And I don't have to, talk in first person. I just have to come up with some part of a story so that I can trigger X.
So the important question is, if I'm a GM and somebody says I want to play a PBTA game, those are the differentiation I want to make. Do you want to play a fiction-forward game where none of the actions in the game are triggered until you push the narrative forward, or are you looking for a non-binary pass-fail system that has partial successes, partial failures, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because I can steer you in a very different direction for a number of games that meet that criteria without even touching a PBTA game.
Now I can be like, well, here's any Forged in the Dark game that I want you to play. Here is how I can, I will be happy to facilitate my D&D game in a manner that fits that playstyle.
Absolutely.
I know because I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, those are important questions when this is a case where you are completely fucking stuck, right? Because if everybody yells out a bunch of games and in like 2 minutes, you're all like, yeah, we all said one of these games, let's go play it. You're problem solved and you're off to, getting ready for like prep session 0 and all that stuff. It's
happy land time.
It's when you grind out and you cannot find the middle ground is where you really start having to get super creative.
Or you split into multiple game groups. I mean, there are times when we've just had games where somebody says, when you guys are done playing that, let me know, I'll come back and play.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I guess Tony does that a lot too, right?
Yeah, there's a couple.
only done it once.
Okay.
But he never came back.
There's a couple games that I've played now that if somebody offered to run them again, unless it was very particular GMs, I would say, I don't think I want to play that game again. You'll let me know when you're done running it, and I'll play it again.
The GM is king for me. I pretty much play most anything that but only particular people can run games that I like to play. I guess it's a weird thing for me. Like if you're not an A-lister, in my opinion, then I probably don't want to play with you. I guess I'm bad that way.
You're playing for a reason, and if you're not going to get that experience out of the game, then there's something to that, because there are GMs out there who are very by the book. We don't use any house rules. We're going to do this. There are GMs who are like, I'm going to tailor this game to fit the genre that's going on. And you need to know what kind of GMs you're getting involved if you're going to be in a long-term campaign. And some players like one and some players like the other. I had a player in Syracuse that anytime you made a minuscule rule change, even if you made it before the game started, that really bothered them. They were very, very, very much about playing the mechanics exactly as written, which is great for them, but it's not going to work for every GM.
I like playing the mechanics as written. So does I know Phil likes playing the mechanics.
Pretty much as written. No, I mean, I'm okay making some changes or some rulings along the way, but my goal is not to be like, hey, I'm a put my own spin on this thing. Like, very much not that.
To once again diverge another time, because we're allowed to in these things. I really like using the mechanics of a game as it presented until the mechanics of the game do not support the thing that people are trying to accomplish. Then I'll have to start adjusting based on the mechanics that are presented to make the game fit what's going on.
But I've had players who don't want the GMs to do that.
Well, that's unfortunate, because
that's my preference.
Then stop taking actions outside of the rules of the game.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That player isn't going to. When other players do, it upset that player.
Well, I mean,
that player's like, well, that's not the way the game is supposed to work.
Role-playing games are built to be flexible. At least they should be, I think.
And to be honest, that other player enjoyed playing that way, and there's nothing wrong with them wanting to play that way. It just didn't mesh well with some people's play styles.
I have a bunch of board games that will do that for you if you want.
Yeah,
adventure board game. This is that Chris Sneezak patented. If you don't like that kind, I don't like doing that anymore, right? Like, I think role-playing games are storytelling vehicles, but they're also games.
Yeah.
So they're both at the same time, which is a really weird thing to walk, a weird line to walk, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to play the game, but I want to tell the story of that the game is trying to present, that the game master is trying to, like, with the players get out there, right? Like,
I don't often preemptively house rule games before a campaign starts, but, like, for instance, the Knights Black Agents group is settling in on Cyberpunk Red as our next campaign, and I was like, cool, I'm interested in Cyberpunk Red. But there are two things about that game. One, it has a really cool life path system for coming up with interesting backgrounds for your character. And two, it's pretty fucking deadly. Which
it's just
these two things,
life path system.
Well, these two things run kind of counter to one another, because the life path system generates this really interesting character background for you to mine and tell cool stories out of, but also you can just fucking die pretty easily.
Which some people see as a feature, not a bug.
Which I agree with, except that
I think it's a bug.
I think it's a bug.
Yeah.
So my feeling is that I will probably, I'm going to reread the rules in the not too distant future, but I will probably propose some sort of, like, if you go down in combat, you can choose whether you want to be dead or somebody's going to drag your corpse somewhere and revive it or something. And, like, I'm going to make your life a lot more complicated, but unless, like, we don't have to throw away your cool life path for you to roll up another character with a cool life path that I'm also probably not going to get to mine for some good shit. So
at least you don't die in character generation like certain space games.
No, I mean, but actually that doesn't even bother me, because I have not invested GM time into you at that point, right? Like, I got to be clear before I even propose anything like this. It involves me rereading the rules, because I read the rules when they first came out, but it involves me rereading it one more time to really dissect, can you die that quickly? Or do you just go down quickly?
I think it would be fair to say that all four of us sitting here at this table, we're not very interested in games where characters die pretty readily.
No.
I don't like them because I like stories. So unless I want a game that's a story about people dying all the time,
Unless the game,
it's what I've told. So good, you do this.
unless the game specifically has in it as part of its conceits, DCC.
well, the funnel is you get four
Like,
characters
sure,
anyway.
sure.
In DCC, in the funnel, all the way up to your third level, I don't hold any of your characters close to my heart,
Yeah.
right? Like if one of them takes a wrong step and bites it,
Yeah.
you're on your own. If we're playing Paranoia, I not only am expecting you to die,
Clone should go down.
I'm going to try to help that.
Yes.
Well, not only that, but clones are essentially the same person.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they get around it,
Yeah.
right?
Or you look at something like Band of Blades. Character death is a real possibility in
Yeah,
this
there's
game, but you also
extra
have a
characters in the
whole bunch of characters,
Yeah.
and you can spin up another one really quickly.
Right. What gets me with Cyberpunk Red, and again, we'll talk about Cyberpunk Red, I think, in more depth as I get into this game, but it has this really cool, and it is not a trivial amount of pages dedicated to this life path system, which generates all this, like, amazing, juicy info for your character,
Yep.
but then couples it. So those rules say you should have really cool stories about the personalities and histories of your character and the, like, all the messiness of your dramatic life, paired with a combat system that's like, I'm gonna fucking waste you, like, with maximum expediency. And those two things for me run counter to each other. I don't want to, like, come up with this cool thing and do all these cool, like, scenes with, you know, your significant other, and then one couple botched rolls into, you know, some Friday night firefight, and, you know, you're street paced.
Yeah, because you spent a disproportionate amount of time doing X to flesh out
Yeah.
a character that
That-
can come to the table ready to play,
Yeah.
and then 1 hour in, after spending 4 hours making them, they're dead,
Yes.
and that just feels bad.
We had this discussion at one of our games a couple weeks ago. That part of why I haven't fleshed out my characters for your guys' games as much is I spent the last almost 40 years as the perpetual GM. So I generally expected that any game I was playing, my character wasn't going to be around for more than 3 or 4 games. And
Weird
so-
when you play one that lasts like 10 to 15 sessions, huh?
Yeah, kind of. And I used to run games that ran, 100, 150 sessions. But I would only play in games for a couple of sessions. So I very rarely gave much thought to my character past. Well, we'll see if they even survive this. Because I also played a lot of games where your characters died early on as well. So it's interesting to see where we're going with those. I've always been a fan of the Artel Saurian games, and they were kind of the first game that I played that had a real life path. Traveler had your what skills did you pick up in your past, but there was nothing else in that. Where Mechton and Cyberpunk had you were a tragic love affair, and now your past love is now the second hand of the
Yakuza,
Yakuza, whatever,
Yeah.
or you fell in love with the rival mecha pilot before you realized they were the rival mecha pilot, all that kind of stuff. And those I like because they give you
Their stories.
motivation. Their stories, yeah, they give you stories.
So Red took it one step further. They not only have the general life path,
Yeah.
they now have an additional add-on for every one of the classes.
Oh, yeah.
So you get you get all the cool general stuff that you just said, but then you also get things like your rival netrunner, those kinds of things. And so I don't preemptively house rule games, but I'm feeling like after I do a reread, I may propose something when that game hits the table, as in if you go down in a game, you'll get to decide whether you die tragically or you're just down and somebody's gonna, find you or roll you into an alleyway or whatever.
Time to pull out the chart of like heinous injuries that you have to deal
Yeah,
with.
something like that.
And it's cyberpunk, so that kind of stuff could be perfect. Now you've got a cyber arm.
You wake
It's
up in
not
the
a good. It's
Yakuza's-
not a good one. It's just a cyber arm.
I used to have a mechanic set for that. Like if you got like killed in a game, car came earlier.
Oh
today.
man, that's early.
That's during the
Folks, that's during the
short.
Yeah.
during the short.
Anyways, if you got killed, like you didn't get killed, you took a wound, and then you could eventually recover from that wound over the course of time. But it was a negative thing against your character for a period of time.
Yeah, it's something like that. So anyway, to go all the way back around to picking games.
Oh, was that where we started? I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's okay. That's the beauty of these segments, right? Going all the way back around to picking games, what we're really coming down to is finding something everyone's going to be excited about, right? The win-win across the board is when the GM is like, I really want to run this game, and the players are like, man, I really want to play this game. And now the hard part is you have multiple players, right? If the GM's excited and most of the players are excited, that's pretty good. Some of the players are excited, that is good. But you've always you're hoping you can win those last players over if they're not, if they're not exiting out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a genre thing. I've talked before about trying to run superhero games with a different game group, and the fact that 3 of the 6 players, like it became obvious they never wanted to play teenagers. I'd run a game that was, okay, you're all teenagers in high school, and like, I'm going to make my character 18, I'm just about to graduate. And they're obviously not looking for that experience. Knowing that in session 0, and when that's happened the third time, I'm just like, yeah, we're not just going to run this game. But that tells you a little bit about what the game is, because they need to say that kind of stuff early on, and they need to feel comfortable being able to say, I do or don't want to play that game.
I don't know that it's not just a genre thing. Like there's a variety of factors, right? Like there's genre, there's rule set. Like if you drop Pathfinder in front of me, I'm like, probably not. No thanks. I'm leaving. Yep. Goodbye.
I don't have a PC to run the software anymore. Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
So I think even to tack onto that, if your game is fairly open-ended, then there's a additional discussion. So we had this discussion with my group, which was I had said, hey, I have an interest in playing Cyberpunk Red. And a number of people were like, oh yeah, I would totally be down with that. And then somebody asked the question, how will it be different than Night's Black Agents? Now, minus the obvious part, like no vampires, but like, how is it going to be different? I knew what they meant. Are we just going to be doing mysteries and running jobs in this game? And Cyberpunk Red is pretty wide open as what you can do to it. So the secondary discussion that we started, have not finished, is, we need to figure out what this Cyberpunk Red game is about. Like, are you guys going to be like a rocker? Like, and they give you some suggestions in the book. Like, are you going to be a band? Are you going to be a news, an underground news organization?
It's still about fighting the man, right?
That part doesn't go away. But is it going to be like, hey, we need a weapons dude, a tech dude, a driver dude? Like, that's like our Night's Black Agents game right now. Do you want that game again? Just sans vampires plus cyberware? Or do you want to do something different? Like, you guys are renovating a neighborhood block.
Yeah.
Like something
we're
like...
going to do the 7 solos.
I don't know if I should... I don't know if I should mention this, but they're for Cyberpunk 2020, there is a fully licensed product that adds vampires to Cyberpunk.
Oh, no. That's 2020, and I have it.
No, I'm just teasing.
Oh, I know.
That was not a bad supplement either. They did a really good job with it.
It was the 90s. They had vampires to everything.
Actually, I think that came out either just before or just during the vampire craze.
But to go back to my point, when you say something like, let's play D&D, that's only the first statement.
Oh, dude, I never just say let's play D&D.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, from there, you
should never say just let's play D&D.
Correct.
There's a whole bunch of layers.
Well, you
that
now
you
have to have
go
the
through.
next. You have to now have the next sentence that follows it, which is, one, are we just going to play one of the pre-established settings and or campaigns, right? Because that's very easy. Like, playing Spelljammer and Strixhaven, they're very different. Like, those are having two very different table experiences.
Yes.
Right.
Both of them could still be a lot of fun, but in your group of players, when you say D&D and everybody perks up, and then you say the next thing, might be where you have to negotiate. Like, you might not have any problem getting everyone to play another game of D&D, but you might have to negotiate at the next level, which is what flavor of D&D. And this isn't just intrinsic to D&D. This is Traveler. This is...
The 31 flavors of D&D.
Yeah, and it can be the other side. Somebody tells me they want to run... Hey, I want to run Eberron. My first question is, what system are we using? Because you can run Eberron in a lot of systems. It's really just a lot of plug and play.
Sure.
And I've run it in multiple systems myself.
But even when you say Eberron, to be clear, like, are we playing in Sharn? Are we gallivanting, all around the continent? Are we going to Zendrix and pretty much campaigning out of, like,
there's
ruins?
A lot of ways you can do that.
And that's great. You need to ask those questions. That's the whole point, is that you want to ask those questions and communicate with your players and the GM and come across with, at the end of the day, what kind of game do we want to play?
So, system, to quote Jason Pitt, system, setting, situation.
Yeah.
Like, you have... So, once you've built consensus at one level...
So there's so many things to this question. Right?
Yeah. So, like, once you... And it's really funny because no one attacks it at this level. You just, like, sit down and be like, I don't know, you want to play a game? And then, like, everybody, like, sits around and then you, like, leave going...
No, I attack it at this level.
Yes.
Well, so what you do is you actually take care of setting, of system setting and pretty much situation.
Yeah.
And then just go recruit people.
We're going to play D&D with it called the Legacy of the Archmage, which is all about legacy in my homebrew setting, which will have these rules in it. Do you want to play?
Yeah. So you've answered all three. Like your proposal comes with all three parts.
Yes.
The other ways you have to have, like, you can build that consensus inward, right? So you can be like, all right, cool. We all agree we're going to play Traveler. Yep. What flavor of Traveler do we want to play? Okay, now boom, we're we're at
Meta Traveler.
Right. And then what do we want to do? Boom, we're gonna go around.
We want to be free traders.
Yeah,
yes, there you go.
So, or as Jerry did it. Jerry was like, let's play Eberron. That's setting. And then went up the chain to be like, what
let's use second edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's use third edition. Let's use Savage Worlds, right? Like, where do you know?
Use Iron Claw.
Yeah. Why don't I'll I'll convert the whole thing for you into Cortex.
Yeah,
sure.
Totally works, right?
Cortex would be very easy to do it with.
Oh, before we wildly diverge again.
I read Eberron using the Iron Claw rules. That's why I said that. We did it. We had a lot of fun.
Now, other games strip that out. Like when we talked about playing PBTA games, like when I say Cartel, like we've narrowed, like there isn't much wiggle room we're going to have in our, like if you accept Cartel,
there's
then
a whole
the situation has already been set.
And then I will say I will see you all in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
Chris
actually,
and I will be playing a different game at that point.
So this brings up the last part of this, which is sometimes as a GM, you're not going to be able to build consensus around a game that you want to run, and you are going to have to go the route that Chris did. At some point, I will run Cartel, and it'll have to be in a group where I am not playing with Chris or Bob. Like Chris doesn't like playing bad guys. Bob's not interested. And there are other people who are interested. Yeah. Sure, me too. Right? I love. It's a
Mexican crime drama. Sure, why not?
Narco fiction. Yeah, I'm down for.
Organized crime dramas are.
Narco's probably the cartel.
Narco fiction is actually what it's called.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they label themselves. It's narco fiction. But for instance, in our Sunday game group, the Sunday game, our Aux group,
which is the four of us.
Yes.
I'll never pitch that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't pitch that game to you guys because will lose.
Half the group.
I'll lose half.
One of the players.
Half the group. It'll just be Jerry and I play narco fiction. Yeah. And I'm reticent to. In fact, I didn't even pitch it to the Knights Black Agents group because while I could probably hold most of the table, I actually like playing with Bob. Not ready to lose Bob from a game, so I'd actually just prefer not to play it.
And that's a choice that as a GM you may have to make. You may like, do I really want to lose this particular person from the table, or am I going to be better off having a better table experience with a group that's going to enjoy the game and not have someone there that might if you have someone who's not 100% on board, then you, depending on where that percentage lies, sometimes it's just a matter of inertia. If you get someone that's like, I'm just kind of indifferent to it, but I'll play, then you just have to get them into the situation and eventually they may get excited about the whole process.
It's possible. I mean, here's the thing. I'm old, right? You're old.
Yeah.
You're not that young either. You're kind of youngish.
Older than you.
Younger.
Snapper.
Whatever.
But the point is, like, look, you can play the long game on these things. Just because you just got a game does not mean you have to just run a game.
Nope.
Like, I have Cartel. I'll run Cartel eventually.
Yep.
When the time's right. There might be a situation that comes up where Bob isn't playing or does something like else, and then I might be like, oh, interesting, this might be the place where I introduce him.
Well, Bob is older than 30, might die at some point.
I'm not really
I mean, at some point I will die, but, hopefully not for a long
I'm
time.
pretty bonded to Bob. Like, Bob, I've racked more years with Bob than I have with any one of my wives. Like, and actually,
I
combined, Bob's outlasted all of my wives. Like, Bob and I are going to be, we're Butch and Sundancing, like this thing.
It's going to fade to black when we hear gunshots.
So, but the point is,
I always wanted to take an Oblivion Army.
I say, by the way, I used to, before they both came out, I used to confuse the name, we talk about it, confuse Cartel and Passion de Pasiones, which are very different PBTA games.
Yes, those are two very different games.
They're very different until you really, if you turn down the realism on Cartel, it starts to drift drifts into melodrama.
There's a reason why when people were talking about them, I would confuse the two. And I enjoy both of them.
Yeah. So the point being is, you don't, like, there are sometimes you get a game and you're like, oh my God, I will die if I do not get this game to the table. I generally don't have that feeling. There are games that I have on a short list that I very much want to play. When the time comes, I will take them out. Twilight 2000, Cartel. I think I have a few more. But for the most part, and this is me, but this goes back to one of our previous episodes about why you GM. I GM because I like creating experience for the people at the table. So I'm not interested at this point. Like, I like both groups that we have. I like the dynamics of both groups. I don't particularly want to fuck with them. So I prioritize keeping the Sunday group in its consistency right now and just finding a game we'll all agree on because I like mini games.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to find one that I will equally be interested in. So I try not to hold those to where I think I'm going to explode.
Yeah.
Like, I can only play this or I'm going to die.
Let's
wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up. So let's go back. So
Sure.
it's, what did you say? It was setting,
Oh, this is
system.
system, setting, situation.
Okay, so you need those three things. And then there are many methodologies with which you can use to get there.
Yep.
Yep.
So you can just come with it yourself like I would. You can ask all your players to vote. But now that we didn't talk about it before, there's another step to it. There's actually two more steps to it. Setting, system, situation.
Yeah,
Right?
and you can decide how much of that you want to put out at once,
That's
or how
true.
much you want to, like, hey, we all got to D&D. Let's now start the debate again about which flavor of D&D
Yeah,
to
Well,
play.
the original question was about they want to play a cyberpunk type game.
Cool. So we have a kind of setting, right?
Setting,
We have a
just
setting,
but not situation
Now
or-
we
or
need
system.
situation and system. So now you have to get to what is your situation that you want to play in, or what is the system that you want to play in, and who gets to decide that.
Yeah, and it's,
And our discussion on this was also that if you have your setting and you don't know what your system is, maybe talk about the situation, because the situations that you describe
That can
That
inform
can
it.
influence both of
Yep.
those.
because there's a big difference between Shadowrun and Cyberpunk, so
one
if somebody
is
wants.
good, one is...
Stop it.
I was being nice, Phil.
Yeah, you're right. One is good. Shadowrun. Oh, there. I said it.
Hey, it's fine. You can,
I will
you
flip
can
this
be,
table over,
You can be
man.
wrong.
You can be
Yes.
wrong.
Yeah.
You can be wrong from time to
be wrong.
time.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Quote Chris Sneezak to Chris Sneezak, you could be wrong.
Did you just sneezak?
I did.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you come at a game and talk about that, that may help everybody discuss what they're looking at. Because
Yeah.
if you don't know what your system is, but you start talking about what you want to do in the game, either mechanically or just situations that players want to get into, that can help to determine what kinds of systems will help the players get there,
Yeah.
and then you can narrow down your systems, because you might narrow it down to 3 or 4 systems and then say, "Well, I don't want this."
You
I
could
want that."
attack. You could attack it anyway.
Yeah.
Like you come at it whatever angle that you want.
One last-
But
one
you
last-
know the 3 angles of the triangle now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One last tip: when in doubt, use the McDonald's technique. So when people are like, "Oh, I don't care, I'll play anything," be like, "Cool," and then pick the most outrageous, ridiculous game, because eventually somebody will object. This is how I used to get people to agree to go to lunch. Be like, "Oh, where do you want to go to lunch?" "Oh, I don't care. Cool, let's go to McDonald's." "Oh, I don't want to go to McDonald's." Now we're
Well,
talking.
now we're starting to narrow it down.
Now let's get to work.
All right.
Just make sure that whatever
us out
game you
here.
toss out there, you will actually run,
Nah, you can bluff.
because you may have those players who's like, "Yeah,
If you got a real finicky group,
Yeah.
just keep Fatal in your back pocket.
Just
okay."
Oh, now get
We'll
us
just
out.
play Fatal.
Get us
No!
out of- Chris, get us out of here.
bye. Goodbye.
Dun,
Goodbye.
dun, dun, dun.
Wow.